Like Scoob, have you ever checked out the Bucket of Beef show?
Well, Raggy, it's the rarest podcast I've seen.
Is that good? That's like a demonic Scooby.
Roro, Raggy.
Dude, I couldn't picture Shaggy waking up to Rello.
Rello, Raggy. Look behind you.
That, like, hot breath on your neck. Like, no, I don't like that.
You just wake up and it's just like...
Rude. God, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm going to do my pauses like Luke does his pauses sometimes.
So they're going to be really long and upsetting.
Maybe just a little bit.
I don't think that the podcast can handle
I don't
that,
think
the kind of time wasted.
Welcome to the
The Bucket of Beef
Welcome
Show.
to the Bucket of Beef Show! Yay!
Thanks much for joining us for our 7th episode. We're feeling a little loopy today.
Yeah,
I'm feeling a little sick. I'm hoping that it blows over.
And I'm really close to his face.
Yeah, and it's like mucus all over, and it's
You have to understand, we record on one microphone, so we are like
spooning,
touching cheeks, the entire time.
If you'd like to support our Patreon so we can afford an additional microphone, and I don't infect Alex through the vector that is our sole recording device,
please go to patreon.com/bucketofbeefshow and subscribe for $4 a month, where you get exclusive access to episodes of reviewed episodes of The Last of Us. I think I'm dying. I'm pretty sure.
Roma, do you think people should join our Patreon page?
Yes, they definitely should do that.
Tell them.
ASAP right now.
ASAP right now, you heard it. Roma is going to visit you in your sleep as a specter, and the gang can't save you from that one.
You. There will be no meddling kids and no dumb dog.
Dumb dog.
That's what they say. Meddling kids and your dumb dog with a big fist raised.
But Scooby's so smart.
Yes. So we're talking about Scooby-Doo 2002 on our first film, which you guys voted on. Thank you so much for voting. That was a really big turnout.
It was wonderful.
It was really cool. So thank you for that. So we're just going to jump right into it. But first, Luke, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm feeling good. Kind of taking it day by day, seeing where life takes me. How about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat. Just trying to stay creatively engaged.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alex wrote a wonderful short little play this morning.
Yeah, and I came out of my room and I was like, Luke, I wrote something. And he was like, let me see it, son.
And we read it.
And we read it together. And it made him giggle. And
It
that
did.
made me happy.
It's very fun.
Maybe I'll share it.
Yeah, everybody DM Alex to get that script.
I'll just DM it to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no issue. It was really short. So, awesome. Scooby-Doo 2002.
I just love that rhymes so well.
It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah,
It feels really nice.
Scooby-Doo 2002. Time to watch a movie. I think that's the theme song for it.
I
Anyway,
agree.
so what happens in Scooby-Doo?
The gang solves a mystery. However, this mystery... Oh, yeah, we have to do our synopsis.
We do.
Okay, so I'm going to do the synopsis for this.
Yeah, off the top of the head.
The Gang You Know and Love by Hanna-Barbera is in a live-action version... Is in a live-action movie where they are in it, and...
Nice.
Thanks. And they have to solve a mystery. After the gang breaks up...
Sounds like a second grader. Keep going.
I think it sounds like a second grader. I'm going to get nervous.
Okay, it sounds like a very advanced man.
Fuck off. Okay, now I'm going to be a man about
Let's
it.
do it.
Mystery Incorporated breaks up at the beginning of this movie. After they all get a letter from Emil Mondavarius, they all go to a small island called Spooky Island, where they discover that there are things afoot. Stop laughing.
I'm sorry.
There are literal demons in this movie.
That was a very successful synopsis. So we got the basic plot points. The gang solves a crime. They break up, and this is the biggest thing to me is Fred is the toxic element of this group.
Yeah, he is.
Like Fred holds no value.
Fred sucks.
Basically
man.
everything. I don't think does Fred do anything important in this film?
In this movie, no, I don't think so.
No,
I think
he's the weakest link.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He gets possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. He doesn't, like, everybody else does something.
He's just part of the comedic bits. So the gang breaks up. They get this invitation from, what was his name?
Emil Mondavarius.
And what does Emil Mondavarius do? Like, who is he?
He is the owner of Spooky Island. So he essentially calls all of Mystery Inc. to the island because the college kids that are there are acting super weird. Like, they go there totally fine, normal college kids, and then when they leave, they're, like, weirdly poised and super strong.
They all have roid rage.
Yeah, they do
basically.
all have roid rage, yeah. So they're trying to figure out why this is happening. So, Luke, tell me about your favorite characters.
My favorite characters in this? I mean, my favorite characters in this have to be Shaggy and Scooby.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're the most... Like, I feel like in most cases, they're oddly equipped to handle themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though, like, they have no idea what they're doing, they're just going with the flow. And I
go
think
with
that's
the
what
flow.
everybody loves about Shaggy and Scooby. You know, they keep the gang lighthearted.
Yeah, and they honestly do a lot of
They do.
the work.
They, like, always do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
You know? They
And they
always
make
fall
fun of
into
that, you know.
something and all that. I love the little, like, post-breakup session where they're grilling in the Mystery Machine out on the beach.
It's like they're smoking weed. You
Yeah.
think they're smoking weed.
But then they're making burgers,
he
baby.
goes, talk about toasted. And then the audience is like, whoa, are they just going to show it? So that's cool. I think my favorite character is also, specifically my favorite character is Shaggy. And as I love my Matthew Lillard, he's the man. And like my favorite supporting character is the Voodoo Man.
Yeah, Voodoo Man's good. I have a soft spot for Velma, too. To be honest, partially because Linda Cardellini is just a beautiful person.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's a really great character actor.
Really good.
I saw her recently in, it was one of the Conjuring spinoffs,
Oh, really?
La Llorona.
Oh, yeah, she's good in that?
She's great.
I've always liked everything I've seen her in.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
incredible. So, favorite parts of this movie, and I don't have any, I don't think, but like least favorite parts of this movie.
Easily for me, my least favorite part of the film is Scrappy pissing all over people. I was talking to Alex about this like before we started recording the podcast. Just full disclosure for everyone listening, I am the one that hadn't seen Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot. Like
2002 all the way through.
Another.
Did you like that?
I loved
I
it.
set that one up. I have seen Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, before. I've watched that many times. I personally think I prefer Scooby-Doo 2 to the original Scooby-Doo. And Scooby-Doo was just one of those films that I watched in pieces when I was a kid. I just could not get over Scrappy-Doo pissing on people. I just don't like it.
He's marking his territory.
But he's like an old man dog, and it's perverse.
He has a gland issue.
Yeah, but it's not like his gland issue is what makes him piss on people. The gland issue just makes him like a weird dog Benjamin Button. And I don't fuck with that.
Look, he has to be a little aggressive. He's like 3 inches tall. He
but
has
he's like,
to be.
But he's like pissing on people and like deriving pleasure from it. And I draw the line there.
He shouts his own
I
name
draw
and
the
then
line.
pisses on Daphne.
I learned very quickly that I 100% do not have a piss fetish, specifically because of Scooby-Doo.
How do you know if you've never tried it?
No, The thought repulses me. I'm sorry to those out there that may have a piss fetish, but I can't do it.
If you have a piss fetish, message us on Instagram.
Oh God.
And I want you to convince Luke that it's okay to
Nope.
give it a shot.
Nope.
Nope.
Not for me.
I think he can.
I respect you if you're into it, but I can't dig it.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect. So then, what's your favorite part?
My favorite part. You know, my favorite part and I like the cave stuff that they do when they're trying to like swing back and forth and like destroy the soul machine.
The Soul Bowl.
The soul bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that part. And even though I hate Scrappy, I do like the part where he comes out of Mr. Bean's robot body.
Yeah.
That's fun. What is the like the threat in this film? Like what's happening on this island?
So like the kids are being taken, like the college teens on Spooky Island are being taken over, and you come to find out like halfway through the movie that there are these like demons, these like super tall, weird, lanky,
They kind of
skinny
look
freaks.
sort of like Scooby-Doo's in like really fucked up demonic ways.
They do. They look like long demon dogs.
Yeah.
Demon Great Dane dogs.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is Scrappy Doo is trying to get the souls of all of these college teens and absorb them into his chest so that he can become an all-powerful, like Godzilla-like creature.
I think it's really to cure his gland issue.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that's his natural state. Yeah, and his glands are just holding him back.
Not letting him do that.
Exactly.
To have a six-pack and a rockin' bod.
And a big head.
Big head.
Big ol' head.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think. This movie is so interesting to me because I think it does a really good job taking the like sexy early 2000s approach. As much as people were like, I don't really vibe with that. It does a good job in the frame of that.
It is really interesting, just like how, and I don't know, maybe it's because like we were like kids during this time, but it's so interesting, just how 2000s movies are.
Yeah.
You know, like they just feel so much like time capsules where I don't feel the same way about like 80s or 90s films or like movies from 2010.
Yeah.
Like there's just this weird vibe from like 1999 to 2006 where something happened. And I don't know what it was, but something is different.
It's like, it's weird, but also like I really don't like 2006 to 2008. Like those 2 years, I'm not a fan of.
Those prime recession time.
Yeah, and
Or
just like,
I guess pre-recession.
you know, like the sunglasses that have like the fence on them, like the long,
Yeah.
like the
Yep.
the fucking black-eyed
Like the
peas
LMFAO
ass, like,
glasses.
Yeah. Shit is goofy. But so yeah, it does a really good job of encapsulating that like feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there are a lot of like, not a lot. I think there are really only two very touching moments in this movie to me, and one of them is like my favorite scene. It's when Scooby is getting ready to be sacrificed, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be sacrificed."
That is a good part.
And Shaggy's like, "That's not good, man." He's like,
I'm gonna be sacrificed. I need to up my Scooby-Doo voice game.
I can always do the laugh. I can't do the voice.
What is it? That's so good.
Thank you.
Very good.
But he's like, who's my best friend in the whole wide world? He's like, Ruby Doo? And it's like, it's so cute. That's like my favorite part. And I don't really have a least favorite part. I
think the luchador fight might actually be my favorite part.
The luchador part?
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes hard.
It does.
The stakes are crazy.
It does.
It really does a good job. So...
If you had to pick a least favorite part, what would it be?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I think it's the part when Scooby and Shaggy like fight because Scooby thinks Mary Jane is like wearing a mask and she is, but like Shaggy, just listen, man. I don't know.
He's blinded by love.
He's blinded by love.
He's leaving his bestie.
He loves that Mary Jane. He can't get away from it.
I know. She is sweet.
Yeah. Also, my favorite part in this too is when Scooby they like call him on the phone at the bar. He's like, I'm looking for a Mr. Doo. And he's like, Melvin Doo?
I did like them when they were gonna. What were they gonna when they were gonna sacrifice him? He's like, no, you want Melvin.
He's like, don't you mean Melvin Doo?
Yeah.
But because he's like, go into the darkest part of the forest where no one can see you for hamburgers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is very good. I also like the ethical statement that this film makes that all humans have tainted souls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only Scooby has a pure soul.
Because he's a dog.
Like,
he
not
just
even
loves...
Shaggy has a pure soul.
No.
They're all
doesn't.
tainted in some way. It's like a very Catholic messaging.
You think so?
Well, because Catholics are very much like, we're all guilty. Like, you're born a sinner. I mean, I don't think they take a firm stance on dogs.
No,
but
you can't take a firm stance
I know.
on dogs.
I don't think they believe dogs have soul. I don't think they believe
that's crazy.
animals have souls. It's only human because we're children of God.
Yeah, but like, I don't know.
But Scooby-Doo proves that wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look into the eyes of some dogs, you're like, I see you in there.
I know.
I know. It's kind of messed up. But, so a lot of people don't like the soul part when Shaggy goes into the cave, is like yanking the tiny souls.
Yeah.
Because it looks really bad. What did you think of that?
I thought
Like,
it
did
was
bother
fine.
you?
Like, I knew what we were getting into. Like, the moment I saw what the monsters looked like, I was like, okay, this is what this is.
You just have to accept
And
it.
I feel like I was also just kind of, like, I grew up watching that kind of CGI in a lot of the films I watch. So, like, particularly when I see CGI like that in that sort of film era, I feel like I go back, like, revert back to my child state after
Yeah.
like 15 seconds, and I'm like,
Sure.
oh, this makes sense, because I can, like, conceptualize where technology was at that time.
Sure.
So for me, it didn't look weird. I remembered it looking exactly the same for, like, Scooby-Doo 2, but, like, those first 10 seconds, I was like, wow, these monsters look... It looks like they spent $4 on this. Like, nah.
Man, I love Scooby-Doo too. We should just talk about it at some point. I think we should just forego.
We should. You guys can vote for Scooby-Doo 2 in our next poll, maybe too.
Well, because the whole thing too, it's like our The Last of Us is going to end at some point.
That's
So
true.
we have to decide how we're going to operate that space. So if you have any ideas, like where we can talk about movies, or we're still going to keep watching a show of some kind, like
And if you guys subscribe to the Patreon, you can let us know.
Yeah.
What do you want us to do next? on that.
Absolutely.
But in terms of Scooby-Doo, like, what do you think? Do you think that it holds up just as much for you now, or do you think it's much more of a nostalgia film for you?
I think it still holds up for me.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. I mean, you don't expect anything like real or earnest or honest. I don't know.
Sure,
you,
sure.
You know what I mean?
I
Like
get
you expect the cartoonishness of it. So
That's
yeah,
fair.
I don't mind it. Do you? I mean,
Well, for me, I still, like, strongly preferred the second one to this one.
okay. You're saying that a lot.
I know.
It's kind of hurting my feelings.
I'm sorry, but I'm here to be honest with you.
What is it about
I'm
the
here
second
to be
one?
honest
though?
with the listeners.
What is it about the second?
I like the story more in the second one.
You like the story more?
I do. This one, they're kind of like, what's going on? And then they find it out really quick, and then they just follow the people to the cave. You know what I mean? It's
I
pretty
guess.
straightforward.
It is pretty straightforward.
Which is
but-
fine. It's a children's movie.
Yeah.
Slash people interested in Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah.
You know?
We've been watching a lot of Scooby-Doo content recently. I
Yeah,
have to
Alex has
say.
been watching a lot of Velma.
Yeah, I finished all of Velma,
Mm-hmm.
which really, it makes me so mad because Fred is the worst in that show, and all of his worst traits just kind of pour out when you watch the movie.
I feel like it's generally acceptable, though, that Fred is the worst one.
Yeah,
Because
but I
he,
mean,
like, even in the cartoons, he doesn't do too much.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, this film, how do you like Scrappy as a villain?
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I actually really like Scrappy as a villain.
Yeah.
I like the little flashback they do, even though he pisses on everyone.
Yeah.
When you're watching, you're like, why are they showing Scrappy all of a sudden? And then you're like, at the end,
Oh, he pops out
Scrappy Dappy Doo.
Fred also has a really funny line though, because I was like, what did he do? The funniest thing that he says is when he gets his head pulled out, or like his soul, Shaggy pulls it out. He's like, I think someone drugged me, man.
It is
I think
good.
someone spiked my drink.
It is very
Talk me
good.
down, man. Talk me down. That's really good.
That is a fun part.
Does it bother you at all that like they get coached to being like oddly hood when they?
Yeah. I like wiped that from my memory. Right? I forgot about that. The whole training room with the fucking like.
I will crush your bones into dust.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
That
good.
whole thing. Yeah, that is true. They I can't even
I
explain.
gave her the business, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Later on." I think Freddie Prinze Jr. really struggled with all that shit.
That shit was funny.
You yo. I don't know.
It was like the cringiest thing.
so weird.
Very corny.
You think they all have like issues coming away from the island and running into people? They're like, "What's up, dog?" And like they're
I feel like it gets
"Ah."
purged from the body. I think it's like when they get possessed, I think it's like that monster that takes over them, and they have to learn how to be human. You know? And this is the closest thing to being human according to Scrappy Doo.
God.
Who I feel like Scrappy Doo is probably. You think Scrappy Doo is a racist? I feel like he is.
I feel like he starts bar fights.
I feel like
feel
he's-
like-
I feel like
I don't know if he's racist.
I think
don't know.
Scrappy Doo's just a wrong individual.
Yeah, well, because also I am under the camp, though, honestly, and this all makes sense. I'm under the camp that Scooby-Doo is black, okay?
Yeah, that's fair.
He's black.
Yeah.
Which means by association, Scrappy is also black.
Scrappy's black.
So he's like trying to teach these demons how to do that, how to like
Oh my
get that
God.
swag, and they just can't do it.
Okay, but so Scrappy's black, but he has like the oldest man voice. Like what? He's like has the oldest white man voice I've ever heard. I feel like Scrappy is like possessed by like Fred's great grandfather or something.
That boy came out of the womb and really was just like just a menace. His mom left him. His dad left him.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
Damn, I have no sympathy for Scrappy Doo.
That's okay. That's okay. So, which character do you relate to the most?
Which character do I relate to the most?
Yeah.
Oh man. Which character do I relate to the most?
And then also on top of that, you know the party where the big demons attack for the first time?
Yeah.
You're sitting on that table next to Scooby. Big demon breaks in. What's your first move?
Okay, so my first answer is going to be I relate mostly to, I think, Melvin Dew. I think I'm just there when the action happens.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the fuck is going on. What do I do when the monsters burst through the doors?
Yeah.
I don't know. I get God, probably.
You think you get
If I'm
got?
closest to Melvin Dew, I feel like that's my destiny. I'd feel like I think I would try to help people and then I would get God, like immediately.
That's fair.
No one was ready to handle that.
No.
Everyone got God,
Everyone
right?
was
Except
drunk.
for who,
Like-
who didn't get God.
Shaggy and Daphne and Mary Jane and Scooby.
Yeah.
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 Just those four.
I feel like I would have got God, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Melvin.
Dude, they got the Coast Guard, which is crazy.
They did.
They were
That's
out
true.
there. I think Melvin Dew should canonically be in every
I think he
Scooby-Doo
should be
thing
too.
related.
Yeah.
It would just be so fun.
Be like an intern. You know?
Hey, Melvin. What's up, guys? That'll be so good. Okay. So,
What character do you mostly identify with, you think?
probably, I think Shaggy.
Shaggy?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just kind of have that energy.
That's fair.
I'm not like squirrely, but I definitely have like a very chaotic essence sometimes. You know what I mean?
I see.
You know, he brings people together. There are lots
I
of
definitely
moments and-
identify with Shaggy's hunger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You could hang with them for
I
sure.
could.
You
I
could
could
really
for sure
hang.
hang, dude. I bring the NYC party mix. And it would be a hit.
It would be amazing.
Absolutely.
Don't take them to the fucking deli.
No.
Don't do it. Don't do it. So, lasting thoughts. Lasting thoughts on Scooby-Doo 2002.
What do you think, Alex? I'll let you lead with it.
Let me lead with it.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal, and also testament to fucking James Gunn doing the screenplay.
Oh, I forget he did the screenplay for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think if you're going to adapt something that's so popular and, like, is just kind of monotonous in the way monotonous in its structure, nothing changes about Scooby-Doo. Like,
Sure.
nothing.
Yeah.
You know? And I think just the fact that it kind of opens with the classic and it's like, all right, guys, we're breaking up. I think it's just a nice little turn, twist. I think Scrappy-Doo being the villain is something very new too. That there were a lot of episodes of Scooby-Doo, like when I was younger, where Scrappy was really hanging with Shaggy and Scooby for a minute.
Yeah, and he was very helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
A benevolent guy.
Yeah,
No glands, no detectable gland problems.
No, not at all. So just that with the cast, like this is just, it's a classic for me. I can't explain it. I think it's, like I said, one of the top 10 movies I could keep with me forever. Like,
Man.
I would, yeah.
That's
It's
deep,
almost,
that's
it's
real.
honestly almost entirely quotable for me.
Really?
Yeah, like the whole thing.
Dang.
You've heard me sing random songs from
I
it at
know
certain
you do
points.
like it a lot.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's like a weird little twitch
Alex
for me.
identifies heavily with the original Scooby-Doo.
I do.
Live
Very much
action
so.
film.
What about you, man?
What about me just in terms of like my overall thoughts?
Your overall, yeah.
My overall thoughts, to be honest, and I feel like I'm going to break your heart with this.
Beat the shit out of him.
Scooby-Doo 2002 for me, it's kind of mid. I think it's a mid film. I like Scooby-Doo 2 a lot more. I'm sorry. It's simple. I like. I feel like I have a lot more nostalgia attached to like a lot of the live action things.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you hate What's New Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I can't
I
stand it.
love What's New Scooby-Doo. It's just like something.
Can't do it.
Something like innate in my childhood. I do think it was very fun that they got everything together in live action.
Yeah.
I like the robot thing with Scrappy. I think that was fun. There's like a bunch of fun hijinks and everything in here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just something about it that I just don't totally
Just can't rock with
mesh
it.
with.
That's
yeah,
okay. That's
you know?
totally fine. So, I did both beef scores on the last episode before you did your beef scores.
Oh, okay.
So you're gonna do both, not both of yours right now, but like you're gonna go first on both of them.
Okay. I'll start.
Yeah.
So, what do we want to do the 1 out of 10, 0 out of 10 to?
Yes.
What are we gonna do? Are we
Oh.
doing 10
No, I was gonna say Scooby snacks, but I want to say sun boils.
sun boils?
Yeah, because that's
because
how
the monsters get the
the
sun
monsters
boils.
get the sun boils.
Ooh. I'm gonna give Scooby-Doo 2002. For me, it's a 5.1. Alex winced so hard. I feel like this has caused irreparable damage
Maybe.
to our relationship.
Maybe. It's okay. There are a couple that actually would cause irreparable damage.
Oh, dang.
Just a couple.
Which ones?
I don't want to say them out loud.
Well, we'll have to do them on the podcast and see if our relationship can survive it.
I'm sure it can. Okay, and so where does that put your beef score?
My beef score, I'll give it a half a bucket of beef still.
Yeah.
I think it's worth checking out, worth watching if you're a Scooby-Doo fan. I think it's an important piece of the media landscape that is Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I just like Scooby-Doo 2 better.
That's fair.
I like
you
it
know
more.
what? That's fair.
I think it's the superior Dooby-Doo.
I think the stakes in the second one are crazy.
They're way
crazy.
higher.
There's a tar monster that
And there's
is
like
killing
more,
everyone.
There's more like red herrings and stuff.
Yeah,
It's a little more
absolutely.
complex.
Yeah.
This one was just a little too straightforward for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really feel the stakes too much in this. And I think it's also because you don't necessarily know who exactly the villain is until the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't know what the exact force is and what's going on.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, it's it's condensed to the island, right?
Yes.
In this one, where like the other one, it's like we're on the mainland. All of these costumes are coming to life, and they all have like different scary shit that they do,
Yeah.
and it's like not cool.
No.
It's really scary,
No.
honestly.
It's life-threatening.
Yeah. Better jokes.
Yeah.
We should have just talked about Scooby-Doo too.
Well, listen, maybe we'll do it eventually.
Fuck,
What's your
man.
score? What's your score?
Okay. I think this rests at a very solid 8.2 for me. I will not give it a 10 out of 10 as much as I want to, because it is flawed, and I think even just having that little conversation around Scooby-Doo 2, like, the stakes aren't completely there, but there are a couple of touching moments. The early 2000s sexy bit, like, I like it enough. I don't love it, you know? You know what I mean?
I'm kind of the opinion that no one was that hot in the early 2000s.
Really?
I just think the fashion was abhorrent.
I can think of one person who was...
I mean, there were hot people in the 2000s, but I feel like they had to overcome their fashion.
I feel like we're about to enter that era. Have you seen those red
I know,
boots?
it's coming back.
Those big Pac-Man red-ass
It's coming
boots?
back.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I don't want
And I'm
it to
not
come
ready.
back.
I'm not ready for the return of low-rise jeans.
Dude, I don't want low-rise jeans. I don't want baggy jorts. Like, I don't want that. That sounds terrible. Sounds awful. But as for my beef score, like Shaggy eats an eggplant burger in it
That is true.
with hot sauce and chocolate sauce. And I think that's exactly what this deserves, right? It's not like it's very chaotic, and it stays in its cartoon realm as much as it can for live action. So, give me an eggplant burger with hot sauce and chocolate sauce. That's where I stand on it.
That sounds good.
And as much as I don't want to leave Scooby-Doo, I think it's time for break.
Break.
Break. Break.
And we're back from the break. We're done with that break today.
We're gonna come back from breaking the breaking
Breaking the break.
Our last song was really good though.
Which
on the
one?
last episode.
Oh, was it?
We're gonna break it.
That
We're gonna. That was so much. We gotta work on these.
I know. We have a live recording of us living in the past.
Yeah,
Man.
man.
So what's your hopeful sponsorship?
Oh man, my hopeful sponsorship is ashtrays.
Care to elaborate? All of our cigarette ashes are just on the floor of our apartment, apparently.
No, I think it's important to have an ashtray. You never know when something's gonna ash or burn. You don't know.
You just don't know.
And ashtrays come in all shapes and sizes. I'm a big fan of the ones that look like plates that have Homer Simpson on them, but Homer Simpson is zooted. You know what I'm talking about?
Zooted?
Yeah. I want one with our faces on it and our thumbs up, and we're also zooted.
That'd be cool.
That'd be kind of cool.
If someone wants to get on that for us,
Yeah, the bucket of beef ashtray.
hit us up.
Yeah. So yeah, I want ashtrays.
You want ashtrays?
Yeah.
I want Hall's cough drops. My throat is hurting me right now. I'm barreling through this. Fun fact, up until I was probably like last year, up until the point I was 23 years old, or maybe like after I turned 24. Anyway, not too far back, I learned that Hall's cough drops weren't called Hal's cough drops.
You what?
I was convinced that they were Hal's.
How?
Because I can't read sometimes.
Who told you? Did
I don't
someone
know.
tell you?
I wouldn't be surprised if like my parents are like Hal's. Because that's a thing that Midwestern people like to do. That
Yeah.
we like to just like say things, like just misname things.
Yeah.
It's like a favorite pastime. Like every store becomes like plural.
Yep.
You know, you got Kroger's, you got Myers. I'm surprised there isn't Costco's.
Yeah.
You know,
My grandparents and my mom always do like instead of like they're talking about wolves, go woof, or like wolves.
like a wolf.
Like a woof.
Look out there. There's some wolves.
Yeah. All right. My grandpa says wash.
Wash.
He's got to wash some clothes.
Oh, nice.
Gotta wash the car.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's a special
I
kind of
love
Indiana
it.
Midwest.
It is. I like it a lot actually.
It reminds you of home.
Yeah.
It's a good nostalgic vibe when you hear someone say "wash."
Yeah. Gonna wash my ashtray. I almost went to a pirate accent there for a second.
Can you try it?
Try what?
A pirate accent talking about washing your ashtray.
I'm gonna wash my ashtray.
Very good.
Wash my ashtray
Okay.
with my Homer Simpson, zooted Homer Simpson on my ashtray. So cool. Halls and ashtray.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks.
You heard it here, folks. All right, that's our sponsorship, and we are going back to the pod. Follow us over this way. Come on.
That's footsteps. Does that sound accurate, you think?
Yeah. To footsteps.
Yeah.
Sure.
Speaking of footsteps,
Yeah.
we're walking on over to our next film.
Oh, where are we?
What I think is a classic film already. I believe it came out, was it 2018 it came out, I think? 2017 or 2018?
2017.
2017 is a wonderful film written and directed by Martin McDonagh. I think and hope that's how you pronounce his name. Is a film called Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. The cast for this is absolutely stacked. I love them very much. This is the kind of film for me that, like, even the characters that just appear in like a scene or two are wonderful.
Yeah.
And they are entrenched so deeply in the world of this movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and I'm kind of going to spoil my score at the end of this, this is probably for me like one of the better made films that we've watched for this podcast.
Yeah.
Like easily. This is like
it's the best made
a
one.
near masterpiece in my opinion.
Yeah.
We got Frances McDormand. We got Sam Rockwell. We've got Woody Harrelson. Peter Dinklage is in this too.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Landry Jones is wonderful in this
Samara
too.
Weaving is in it.
Yeah. And then we got Lucas Hodges as well. All wonderful actors.
Do a synopsis.
Say, Luke, what is Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri about?
Oh, can I do a little song while you do it? While you say the synopsis?
Sure thing.
We're gonna keep it light, as light as we
All
can.
right.
Ready?
Yep.
Actually, I'm just gonna do a saxophone.
Okay. Hey there, folks. Come on with me to a place called Ebbing, Missouri. Let me tell you, Ebbing, Missouri's got some problems. We've got the mother of an unfortunately passed young woman who's on the lookout for her daughter's killer. We've got a no-nonsense sheriff by the name of Bill Willoughby. We got some other characters in here, too. The film opens up with Frances McDormand, a.k.a. Mildred Hayes, putting up 3 defamatory billboards outside of this small town in Ebbing, Missouri. And you won't guess what happens.
Is that it?
Yes.
Cool.
So, essentially, for Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, it's a heavy film.
It is.
Got to put it out there first. What I love so much about this film, as well as what I love so much about Martin McDonagh's other works, is how well it balances tragedy and comedy. Like this film has no business being as funny as it is.
No, absolutely. Not.
It has a very intense subject matter. Just a quick sort of content warning for this film. It does deal with and discuss sexual violence as well as murder.
Domestic violence,
both
too.
Domestic violence as well. Basically, the main inciting incident for this film, which basically happens off-screen before the film even starts, is the rape and murder of Mildred Hayes' daughter.
Angela Hayes.
Angela Hayes.
Yeah. That's the first thing I think is really interesting about this, just off rip, is that, like, this type of movie will not coddle you in what you need to know. Like, because of how well-rounded these actors are in their own story building, from the get-go, it's like, you just kind of have to...
Yeah, like, you're here, buckle up.
Yeah.
You know?
Like you're learning through the characters, but it's not spoon-fed. It's all very natural, and just off-rip, it's very good. So that's all I wanted to know.
And the way that they, like, build the community in this is really good, too.
It's excellent.
Kind of the ways that they have these different factions. You got Mildred sort of teaming up with her friend at... I can't remember the character's name.
Yeah.
At the gift shop.
Denise
at the gift shop. She has an interesting relationship with the guy that runs the advertising agency for in Ebbing, Missouri, Red Welby.
Yeah.
Another fantastic character in this, kind of, I would say the primary antagonist, at least in the beginning of the film, Jason Dixon, played by Sam Rockwell.
Absolutely.
A pretty shithead deputy.
Yeah.
Who is a drunk and, frankly, a very hateful man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Racist, torturing black folks.
Yes.
Which is poked at.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it's like always on the surface.
Yeah,
you know?
it is. It's always
and
teaming.
they don't like, and in the best way, it's like, this is the shit of this town, you know? And it's just kind of it's never necessarily like, and everyone's out to change it.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. It's like everyone's like dealing with it. It's shit. And that's the world that it is.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's a lot of small towns. I feel like, I mean, the town where I was born, it's just like everyone knows everyone. You're in everyone's business. And anybody does anything to anyone, it affects you.
Yeah.
And you have to have an opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
But yeah, and Sam Rockwell's character goes to so many different places.
It does.
Being a drunk, and, you know, I told Luke yesterday once we were done, I didn't want to talk about it too much. But we talked about how Mildred Hayes and Officer Dixon are kind of riding the same bike in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where, and we don't even really learn about Dixon losing his dad until
near the end, basically.
Near the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is an important
we don't
piece
learn
of that
about
puzzle.
it until Sheriff Willoughby's passing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just how Mildred kind of operates to her power comes from her love, and all of her actions are dictated by love, period. And they're intense, and she's intense. And Dixon is also intense, but he, throughout majority of this movie, was not operating out of love, just like vengeful and hateful.
Yeah, just angry.
Yeah. And where those two kind of meet at the end, I mean, that's just really interesting because when he's introduced by Woody Harrelson's character, Officer Willoughby, to the concept that he needed to be more loving so that he could be a detective, like he sees Dixon. Mm-hmm. And so now their paths can kind of meet, you know, Mildred and Dixon. So, yeah, I think that's the big thing I kind of took from it, just operating out of love versus hate.
For sure.
In these really intense and volatile situations.
Yeah, and also just like there's just so much like so many love-hate relationships in this film. Mm-hmm. Like you have moments of Jason Dixon after Willoughby kills himself to basically spare himself from the pain of dying of cancer. Mm-hmm. He goes into the advertising agency and basically beats Red Welby to death. Yeah, near to death. Yeah, throws him off the roof. You know, and he ends up getting caught in the sheriff's office after he gets fired. I really like the replacement sheriff that comes in. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
He's
God.
Great.
They needed that breath of fresh air for sure.
Absolutely. So Dixon gets kicked off the force after this incident, which is about as merciful of a thing that man could have done to Dixon. Like, he could have locked him up, no problem. You know, Dixon always kind of gets off somehow. But he's just such a broken... I feel like he's just such a broken person that, like, they just kind of accept it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
A lot of people do some, like, shady shit. Nobody gets in trouble. Nobody.
It's like everyone's a fucked up family member.
Yeah.
You know, in this town. Mm-hmm. And there's just so many cool moments of, like, people that should hate each other, like, listening to each other and, and just kind of hearing each other out in their own fucked up, sometimes not accepting ways.
A prime example of that is Mildred and her ex-husband.
Oh, yeah. Such an interesting dynamic.
There's no reason he should be going into that house. There's no reason, you know, she was clearly brutally beaten by this man.
Yeah.
And still, they're, like, holding hands, and, like, there's, like, a very strange love, and I don't know if it's because of their daughter. I don't know if it's because they still have the son there, but, like, it's really complex.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That is a good, you know.
I love the moment where Dixon's in the hospital after
he gets burned.
Yeah, after Mildred Hayes burns the police station down. And he's in the hospital with Red Welby, and Red's telling him he's got, like, a broken arm, his legs are all fucked up, his face is all bandaged because he got beat so bad. And he gives him orange juice and tells him that things are going to be okay. And even after he realizes that it's this person that he's so afraid of and has so much disdain for, he still is caring. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of, even though this is such a dark and depressing at times film, there is like an underlying theme of kind of love and community. Yeah. In this,
the community aspect,
in a strange way,
you can feel it.
There's also just such a good and palatable, like, appreciation for silence in this film. Mm-hmm. It's something that I think Martin McDonagh does really well in the things he directs. He does a similar thing. I think he leans into it a little bit more in his newer film that came out called The Banshees of Inisherin. Also a wonderful film. But you get to see how people's actions and words, like, are deeply affecting other characters. Mm-hmm. Like, this film, it kind of starts with silence, and then it ends with silence. In both car rides. Mm-hmm. You know. Yeah, and I think there's something really, really powerful about that. Just like a quiet contemplation in this. What was like the most batshit moment to you of this film?
The most batshit moment?
Yeah.
Probably Mildred blowing up the police
police
station.
station?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. It was shocking that Woody Harrelson's character took his own life. Honestly,
That's a curveball, isn't it? I
It's
was
a
really
curveball.
excited to see what you thought of that. Just a heads up to everyone, Alex was the one that hadn't seen this film.
Yeah, I hadn't
So I
seen
was very
this.
excited for him to see this.
But he puts it on paper. He like has like he's been preparing for it for well over a week, and just the way that he still operates with love in his heart. I mean, his very last day, he's like hanging out with his kids, and him and his wife are talking about fucking, how it's a really good fuck. He has a nice cock, and he just goes into the stables and just shoots himself. I was like, I don't know. I guess I don't understand that pain, but also at the same time, like, I couldn't leave something like that. Like, that was a lot. That was a lot.
He went out the exact way he wanted to.
Yeah.
And he was a bit of an asshole, for sure.
A little bit, yeah,
You know?
sure. But also, I mean, I don't even feel that way because Mildred got her billboards paid for an entire month.
Yeah.
And whether it was like a dig at her or not, he was like, I support this. I won't be here, but like,
Yeah.
good luck.
Keep fighting your fight.
Yeah.
Like, I believe in it. And it is just like, it just constantly beats you down, like, just the lack of hope in finding the person that did this to her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And the lengths that she's willing to go to and other characters are willing to go to find some sort of justice and closure to this horrible, senseless thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is also, I mean, like, there are lots of moments where people are trying to give her levity,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And those were some of my favorite things in this movie, like when Peter Dinklage takes her to dinner,
Yeah.
which is so cute.
It is.
It's very, very cute.
Peter Dinklage is wonderful in this
Oh,
film.
he's amazing. He's amazing. And like the Denise, and that, like, I think the moment that made me happiest in this is when they're all going to put up the new billboards after it got burned, after the husband burned them down. Right, the husband.
Yeah,
burned
he
them down,
did.
Right? Yeah,
There's so many good, like, little, like, unexpected events
yeah.
in this film.
Definitely.
It definitely keeps you on your toes.
It's a big departure from Scooby-Doo. There's a mystery afoot, but this one is just a
This
little.
one's real.
This one is real.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I feel about it, man. It really was. I thank you for showing me this movie. This was a really
I love
good
it.
one.
It's one of my favorite films.
You said you've seen it a few times.
I think this was the third or fourth time I've seen it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I honestly don't really watch... I don't normally rewatch films, especially films like this.
Yeah.
I
I just kind of hold you down.
But it's just so good. Like, the performances are so great. The like, all technical aspects of the movie are excellent. The music is perfect to the scene, just the general aura of the film.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's very, very good. And there's just so many, and the contrast that's painted so frequently in the film is wonderful. Like, there are so many moments where characters are just absolutely, like, eviscerating each other on an anatomical level.
Yeah.
And then there's something that comes up that where they're reminded of the humanity of the person that they're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Like the moment where Mildred Hayes, one of the first things that she does after the billboards come up, she catches a lot of flack for putting these billboards up because a lot of people know that Sheriff Willoughby has cancer and they like him a lot. He's a man that we're told and we see sometimes leads with a lot of integrity and really cares about the people of this town.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that are very upset with her for putting up these billboards that are essentially tarnishing a dying man's reputation. And one of these people is a fat dentist.
Dude, what the fuck,
who
man?
is basically ready to rip her tooth out without any sort of anesthesia. She impales his thumb with his little drill, and she winds up in police custody. I love the scene where her and Willoughby are arguing with each other, and she's basically telling Willoughby that he could be doing more, he should be doing more. Things are only happening now because she put up these billboards, and she's kind of right.
Yeah, she's right.
She's totally right about it. And they're arguing, and Willoughby starts to lay into her a little bit, and he coughs, and we see blood
just like
splatter
on
her face.
Yeah.
And just the transition from that, to like him being in attack mode, both of them being in attack mode, to just him being so embarrassed and fearful and apologetic, and her going into immediate like nurture mode
Yeah.
is so interesting.
Yeah.
And it's honestly one of my favorite things about Frances McDormand in this film is just the absolute elasticity that she has as a performer
Yeah.
in these scenes.
It always looks like she's holding something in. It doesn't like it
Yeah.
could be a
she
million
carries
different
silence
things
really well.
super well.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
There's just always like a tiny fire. Not even a tiny fire, like a furnace.
Yeah.
Just
like
ready
right behind
to be
her
released.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's remarkable.
Yeah. How did you feel about her son?
I mean, I sympathize with him
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it's definitely I would say he's sort of a seen not always heard supporting character. I mean, he definitely like stands up and says what he's thinking a lot.
He puts a knife to his dad's throat.
He puts a knife to his dad's throat for sure.
Yeah.
I like it. I think he's a great character. I think the actor that played him did a really good job, Lucas Hedges. That's just so much to deal with and to portray. You know, someone who's like you're probably one of your closest friends, if not your closest friend, your sister. You know, this horrible thing happens to her. The way that they paint the whole picture of the family, like right before her death, is horrible.
Crazy.
So horrible.
I looked at Luke because I was like, is that no shit the last thing
Yeah.
she said to her daughter?
Yeah.
Is I hope you get R-worded?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That had to tear him up, man. Tear
Yeah.
her up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that dynamic is nuts because
It's really good because it's doubly heartbreaking because you see this kid who is obviously so eviscerated by the loss of his sister, and simultaneously is being kind of abandoned by his mother.
yeah.
You know, like she's not there for him.
No.
She's not. She's fully consumed by her grief and her rage at the loss of her daughter. You know.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to watch. You know.
Yeah.
It's just so it's self-destructive and it harms the people close to her, but at the same time, like you're still fully on board with her. You know.
Absolutely.
Like you want to see closure for these people.
Yeah.
And I think their relationship's a really important one.
I think my favorite thing about their not even about their relationship, but like about, there are a few moments where she takes him to school. And the most laugh out loud moment is when, what do they throw?
I was really hoping that we were going to talk about this.
What is it they throw? Or they throw at her car?
I think they throw like a drink or like
a
milk
drink
or something.
I think it
on
was milk or whatever.
Yeah.
She gets out of the car and is like, who threw that to these three kids? And she's like, do you know who threw that milk? Like, nope. Kick to the balls. Next person. Do you know who did that? No. Kick to the vagina. It's just, oh man, that was hysterical.
She's an unstoppable force.
Really
there's just so many funny moments in this. Like all of the shit with like the conversations that Willoughby has with Dixon about like what crime did they commit? Like what are they doing?
Dude.
Like,
when she goes to the police station, he's like, you can't say fuckwad or whatever. You can't call her a fuckwad. Like,
or you can't call a deputy a fuckwad.
oh yeah, you can't call
That's
a
what it was.
deputy a fuckwad.
It's a crime. What kind of crime?
God, that was
Yeah,
so
and just
funny.
like the woman, the girl that Mr. Hayes is dating, like the girl that smells like shit, according to Mildred Hayes, just like just quoting all these things from books that she has nothing about.
I don't know if I
knows
was
nothing
reading
about.
polio
Or polo.
Oh, polo. What is it? The things you do on horses?
And like I just think it's so like it takes a special kind of person to interrupt a scene with like clearly depicted domestic violence and then interrupt it with a 19-year-old girl of a 46-year-old asking where the bathroom is.
Yeah.
Like it's just so jarring in the perfect way.
They're just layers. They're just layers, and I don't even know who wrote this.
Yeah, Martin McDonagh.
Oh, he wrote it and
he wrote it
directed?
and directed it.
It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant, and I think I wish that I had that brain, but like I think it like even as a performer to look at a script, like I want to know what that script looks like.
Yeah.
How does it inform you? You know, I don't know. Is there any particular scene that you would like to be a part of. You can be any character you want, but like I guess the goal is who would you want to act against?
Oh man,
It's really hard.
I don't know. Like, the son's a really cool character. I really like the scene where Dixon gets the DNA from that guy at the bar.
Yeah.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
And it's a super important scene. And it's just so like interesting seeing this guy that's like totally beaten down. Like, he's covered in burns at this point. He's lost his job. He has no direction in life.
Yeah.
Not that he necessarily had a huge one before, but now he's like truly out in the water. And he like realizes that there's like something good that he can finally do. Yeah. Like, this guy has just been an utter terror this whole film. Yeah. And he ends up being the one that gets the closest to getting closure to this, you know? And it's just so interesting because he's so unjust as a person, but I think he truly does believe in justice.
Yeah.
Like, the moment that he hears that the DNA sample doesn't match, and you just see that utter look of rejection, like
defeat.
But this guy is bad.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we do anything about this? You know? And he just doesn't understand.
But it's like, it's that new operation. It's that new operation, the route of love he's taking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Without that, I feel like he would have just been like, fuck, whatever. This has nothing to do with me. I don't give a shit.
No, for sure.
You know?
And I totally like hopscotched all over your like what scene and what person would you want to act against in this. I don't know. There's just so many to choose from. Yeah. I would love to. I mean, my top three favorite. I can't. It's even hard to say top three. Like Frances McDormand.
I know. I would definitely, if I had the opportunity, I would want to play, like Red.
Yeah.
Red Wilby. I mean, he gets to act with Frances McDormand, and
yeah, he's with everybody.
Yeah, he's with everyone.
Yeah,
and he's more the spectator than anything else.
Yeah.
So I think even to just interject in those moments would be amazing. I want Sam Rockwell to beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell is so good in this movie.
Yeah,
he's so good. Yeah. So I mean, just final thoughts on the film.
No, it was excellent. It was excellent, and honestly, I don't ever seek out films that will leave me that I know will leave me with like a sad impression or like a melancholic, feeling.
Very melancholic.
But it was funny, and the characters were real and honest, and I love looking for moments of beauty in like every movie I watch, and this was just one. I was like, this is just a beautiful story with beautifully complex people, and it was a masterclass. I loved it. It was very good.
Yeah. I think I love it so much because it dives into the worst fears of the worst fears that humans could have coming to life, basically. And I think it exposes like so much of everyone's just an open nerve in this film.
Yeah. And
just the honesty and it's just earthy.
It is.
Like,
it's very
it's
earthy.
So like real and fleshed out.
Yeah.
And it's just a wonderful film. You say that you want me to give my scores on this. So out of 10 Molotov cocktails heading straight to the Ebbing Police Department, I'm going to give Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri a 9.5.
Wow, that's your highest score.
That is easily my highest score.
I feel like it's going to be my highest score, too.
Yeah? I mean, I think you gave Terraform Mars like a 9.6. You might have given it a 10 out of 10.
Did I really?
Yeah, I think you were pretty eager when we first started on that score.
Now I'm being honest.
Okay.
Not that I wasn't being honest then. There was just a lot of excitement, starting a podcast and all. But yeah, I'm going to put this like a 9.6.
9.6.
I'm putting it right up there.
There we go.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't even know why the points are off. I just, in my brain, I'm like, it's not a perfect movie. Like, I could have watched another hour and a half of it, honestly.
It's so good. Like, it's basically a 2-hour film. It's so lean. Like, everything has so much weight to it. Everything is so important. it never feels like there's a throwaway scene or a wasted character. Every piece is important,
Yeah.
you know?
And even what it leaves the
And it
audience
holds you.
with,
Like,
man.
you
Yeah.
are drawn in the whole time.
And, like, even what it leaves you with at the end as the audience to, like, sit and think, like...
Because they don't really give you a ton of closure at the end of the film.
They don't. And so at the end, Sam Rockwell's character gets the DNA of some guy who was talking shit that he had, like, really hurt a woman and murdered her, basically. And he discovers that, you know, he is not responsible for the death of Angela Hayes. And it just kind of rocks his world, and he's very distraught. But he calls Mildred and is like, I know where this guy lives. I have his plates. Like, we can just go get him. And she's like, okay. So they're basically going on a road trip to Idaho to kill this guy.
But you don't know if they're going to do it or not.
Yeah, you don't know
They
if they're
sit
going to
in
do
the car
it.
and they're like,
They're kind of like,
do you really want to do this?
You're like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Let's drive and see what we think, what we come up with.
Yeah.
You know?
They're like, we'll figure it out on the way. And just figuring it out on the way.
Yeah.
That's the story, man.
Yeah.
So, lovely. What's your beef score?
In terms of my beef score, this is the entire like Texas Roadhouse chain.
Yeah.
Chain's worth of beef. It's
Yeah.
like silos filled of beef.
I love it.
I like beg everyone, if the content matter is too much for you, I completely understand. But
to be fair,
Yeah.
to that extent, you don't see anyone.
you don't see anything. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the implication and the aftermath of this horrible event.
Yeah.
It's like in no way gratuitous or
No.
You know?
The most you see is the domestic violence, and it's very short. Just know if you're gonna watch it, there's like that one scene where it does get kind of heavy for a second, but there's nothing that will affect you in the realm of the murder.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. I highly encourage anyone that hasn't seen this film to watch it. We discussed some key plot points here, but it was pretty meandering. I think you'll thoroughly find surprises and thoroughly enjoy this film.
And you know what's so funny? Like I wish I was like back home in Indiana watching this with like an open window and it was like raining, and just kind of
has
like
that vibe.
It's like during the day, here's
Yeah.
some bird. Like that just sounds perfect. My beef score. It's just like 9 or 10 entire cows in a field, and I'm just out there. It's sunset,
Appreciating them.
and I moo super loud, and they moo right back at me, and I get to go hug them, and it's beautiful. That's my beef score. Earthy beef.
Thank you to everyone for listening to this episode of the Bucket of Beef Show.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at Bucket of Beef Show. Check out our Patreon. Our poll will release soon. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.
My name is Luke Hodson,
My name is Alex Morrison.
and we'll see you on the beef side.
On the beef side, baby. On the beef side. Oh, cha.